Okay, ladies. So I am really, really excited about this call. I've been tweaking it all day and worried that I'm not going to have time to get in all the information that I want to get in. But it's a good topic, and it's a topic that's really relevant to all of us. So I just want to first thank each of you for being here on your Thursday night. So just the fact that you took some time out of your day to be here means a lot, not only to me, but it shows me that you're putting yourself first. So it's a choice that you have to bring value right back to you and put yourself first. So that's really super exciting. And the topic that we're covering tonight is one of my favorite topics. So I'm really excited. We have a lot to go over, so we're going to try to keep it within the hour, and we're going to move right through things. So this call is all about banishing the bloat, right? It's essentially just about for any woman, essentially, because we all in some way have some issue with our digestive system, whether or not we know it, right? So we're going to uncover a lot of that tonight and why we want to uncover that as well. So no matter how healthy, right, you think you may be, you can probably relate to a lot of the things we're going to discuss tonight. This program evolved over a couple years, 2 or 3 years of me seeing clients. I would see kind of the same patterns popping up. So most often people come to me, women come to me wanting to lose weight, right? That's the big thing for all of us. It's important for us to feel good, right, to feel good in our skin. But I was seeing that as we got to the weight loss piece, that it was more, a lot more to it than we think, right? And what I would find is that underneath the surface, there is a lot going on with the gut. And so whenever I say the gut, that just means your intestines and your stomach, essentially, is what that means. That I found that until we balance that and kind of rebalance that, cleared out the crap that was in there, essentially, it allows our detoxification system, our fat-burning system, to kick back into gear, and then you lose weight naturally. So until we address gut function, weight loss would be a struggle, right? So it would not happen, or it'd just be really painful and just a slow process. So that's where Banish the Bloat came from, is that it was a necessary step, first step for a lot of people, and a continued step as we move forward. So once we balance the gut, right, like I said, weight loss can happen naturally, and that's what we want, because we don't want to fight our body to get it to lose weight. We want it to kind of happen naturally, and when you restore balance to the gut, weight loss does happen naturally. And for some clients, it's as quickly as 3 to 9 pounds or more are gone in less than a week. And that's pretty common. So that's when you get to the root of the issue. And that's not through depriving our body or eating less. It's not at all. It's about getting the right things in and clearing out the bad things, essentially. Okay? So before we get really started and into the good stuff, I really want to make sure that all of you get the most out of this call as possible. So before we dig in, I really want each of you to think about kind of what you want from this call. So if you are able to grab a pen and paper, it might be helpful at this time to jot down some notes so that you have it to go back to after the call, because we're not going to have as much time as I would like to actually spend to work on each of these things that I give you. But I want you to think about what you want, right? So what is it that inspired you to sign up for this call tonight? What is it that made you decide that you were going to put this first on your list and make this priority for yourself? Is it that you just want a flatter belly? Or perhaps it's that you just want more motivation, right? So you've been feeling kind of stuck and stagnant. Perhaps it's just that you want more energy. Or maybe you just want more clarity around what is healthy eating, right? Because there's so many mixed messages in the media that it makes us all crazy, right? So maybe you just want some clarity and comfort around that. Maybe it is to uncover why you have certain digestive complaints that have been there for a long time, or maybe you're just starting to show up. Or maybe you just want the recipes, right? And that's fine too. Maybe you just want some new ideas. So think about what it is that you want. And it could be something totally not unrelated to your body and to food and to things like that as well. So what is it that you want from this call? And basically, what is it that inspires you to jump in, right, and to join this big community of women? So think about that, and I'll give you maybe a few seconds to jot down some notes if you have them. And you can, if you feel stuck or blocked, you can always come back to these later. So if we don't know what we want, then we tend to not take action, right, and we lack commitment. That's why we're starting with this. if you don't have a clear want, you don't have clear direction. If you have clear direction, you're not going to have a commitment, and you're not really going to do anything, right? Or you're going to find reasons to not do something or to not take action. So when we fall off course or we sabotage our efforts, it's most often because we don't have a strong enough want, right? Or the want that we thought we want is not actually what we deep down truly want or need necessarily, right? So we're going to take this a few steps further, right? And we'll do that in a second. So without wanting something, right, and without the commitment of wanting it, we tend to bounce around a lot, right? So we're more unstable, we're more likely to fail, or we're more others, right, for our lack of success or our failure or frustrations. So in other words, we're trying to fulfill a need, right, or want that we haven't really identified. You know, it may not be even the right one, or we just haven't even thought about what we want. And so we do that by trying to try out more and more things. You know, a new diet, a new exercise technique, but we never fully experience success because we're bouncing around and nothing ever really sticks or works because we haven't really identified what it is that we want necessarily. And then oftentimes only having the want, it may not be good enough. So you may want something or think you want it, but that may not be good enough to spur the change or to keep the change going. So what we also need to have a why. That's really important. And a lot of what we do in the program, so Banish the Bloat, this is not just a call, but it's actually a 21-day program that clients have gone through. But we need to identify basically why, and that's what we talk about in the program, is we help people identify the why by giving them knowledge, basically. If you have the knowledge behind what you're doing, then that oftentimes for people is a big enough why. Because now you understand why you need to do what you're doing. You understand why the body needs what it wants or what it needs, and you understand how your body is trying to communicate with you. So having the knowledge behind it helps to really strengthen that why, which helps you to stick with your want, right, and follow through on the program. So I want you to think about what it is that you want, right, and think about why. Why do you want that, right? So you want more energy so you can be more productive at work. What will that allow you to do, right? So if you're more productive at work, why do you want to be more productive at work? What's your reasoning behind that? So what is the want behind that, essentially? Could it be that maybe you want a promotion, right? Because you feel that that's what you are meant to be doing, and that is your purpose here in this world, is to be in that role, right? So you can give more, perhaps. So think about what it is that you want and why you want that. What is this keeping you from doing? So what is this want, not having that in your life currently? What is that keeping you from doing? What is it allowing you or not allowing you to do that you would like to be doing? And think about that. And so then you can also take it one step further, which we're not going to do tonight, but you could take it one step further and keep asking yourself, why do you want that? And then take it one step further, well, why is that important? And then you can get really down to the root of things that oftentimes have nothing to do with our body or what we think that we really want. So keep digging with that one. All right, so when you do that, I also want you to think about what thoughts pop into your head. So once you've identified your want, say you want a flatter tummy, what thoughts immediately pops into your head? Do you hear like buts or, well, I should have done this, I could have done this, I can't do that, I would have, I could have, I don't. All those things that come up, I'm not worthy of it, that's not possible. How can I want that, right? So if we say we want a flatter belly, a lot of times what pops up for us is, well, who am I to say that? I don't deserve that, or I've never had it before, so why could I have it now? So you want to notice those little evil voices that pop up into your head. That's kind of your inner mean girl that pops out, right? And those voices, although we may kind of try to ignore them, they program our mind, right, to think those things, and they also want to prove themselves right. So if it says you're not worthy enough or you can't do it or you're always going to get the same results that you've always gotten, that's what subconsciously your mind and your body will try to recreate, right, to prove itself right. So all you have to do to stop this cycle from basically imprinting in your brain, to stop that, you just want to say stop, literally, like when a thought comes up, just stop. And when you say that, you'll probably notice a change in your brain as well. when you do that, it just stops the flow of that negativity immediately. And then you have the chance to step in and say what it is that you truly believe or would like to believe, right? So we wanted to stop that destructive cycle in its tracks. And then you can rewrite and redirect your thoughts into a positive version of what came up for you, right? So what usually pops up, those mean girl thoughts, those are subconscious beliefs and blocks that really, they're trying to keep you comfortable, right? So they're trying to keep you right where you're at now or have been in the past because they know it and it's familiar and it's comfortable. And stepping out away from that is uncomfortable, right? And so we think that we should just stay right where we're at for comfort. So we need to stop those little voices and allow ourselves to step into something a bit bigger, okay? All right, so now that you've identified what it is that you want and why, or you're getting there, we're going to jump into the good content here. So the Banish, Bloat, good, juicy content. So make sure you're comfortable. If you want, grab some tea, grab some water, have something to take notes with, grab a blanket, a pillow, whatever you want to get comfortable. And then also I want you to, during this call, and this is something we often don't hear, but if you ever, so if I start talking about something like a subconscious belief or a mindset pattern or something like that, and maybe you notice resistance to it, or you immediately kind of tune out or think, oh, that's not for me, that doesn't apply, that's exactly when I want you to tune back in. Because oftentimes what we resist and kind of tune out is exactly what we need to hear a bit more. It's exactly when we need to tune in and listen a little bit deeper. Because oftentimes what we try to shut out is what we need to hear the most, right? We're all guilty of that. So if you notice that you start to tune out or have resistance against something, then maybe, resituate yourself, sit up a little taller, move to somewhere different in the room, grab a pen and paper and just focus a little bit more and try to figure out why it is that you're resisting, this area for yourself. So something just a little bit different to think about that we normally don't think about. So before we dive into that anymore, I just want to make sure that everyone's still good and can hear me. So push 5-star if the quality is bad or if I'm cutting out or if you can't hear me. Just push 5-star now. Otherwise, we're going to keep zipping forward. Okay, I think we're good. So tonight it's all about banishing the bloat, right? That's why we're all here. That's what brought us all here. So tonight we're going to cover basically 3 things. So the first one is we're going to talk about what banishing the bloat really is all about. So what is this, right? It sounds kind of cool, and all of us want that, but what really is involved with it? What does it mean? And then we're going to talk about a lot of the reasons why you may not be able to lose weight, no matter how much you exercise or how little you eat. So we're going to dive into those because I know it's a big problem for a lot of people. They feel like they're doing everything right, and they're just not seeing results. And so it just makes them very disheartened and frustrated, right? And then we're going to talk about the 3 main power components that you must have in place to go on this bloat banishing journey and to reach your success. And these components may surprise you as to what they are. They're a lot of fun to talk about and to dig into, but you might be surprised at what they are and what we uncover tonight. And then you'll also be left with 3 action steps that you can walk away with tonight and implement immediately to help you banish the bloat. And then also you'll be sent 3 really yummy, summer, refreshing, energizing, light, good bloat banishing recipes. So you'll be sent those along with the recording of tonight's call as soon as the call is ready for you guys. So let's dive right in here. So I'm going to list off a few things, and I want you to see if any of these things resonate with you, if they sound familiar. So do you seem to get bloated, right, after anything you eat? And you just can't pinpoint what it is. It never seems to be consistent. Or maybe you're just bloated all the time, right? Or maybe you can't seem to drop those last 10 to 15 pounds. They just love you too much. They hold on tight and they don't want to let go, right? That's a lot of us. Or maybe you're exercising and you're dieting and you're doing everything right. You're exercising like a mad woman, you're cutting calories, or you're eating super clean and healthy, but you're still not seeing the results that you feel like you should be seeing. Maybe you're experiencing digestive discomfort, or acid reflux, heartburn, gas, upset stomach, IBS, whatever it may be. Or maybe you are just experiencing a constant state of just you don't feel right? You don't feel like yourself. You feel unwell. You lack energy. You don't have that zest for life, right? You're lacking mental clarity. You're lacking passion. Maybe you can't access your intuition, right? So these are just a few things. If any of them resonated with you, I could keep going on and listing off different symptoms and different things that we experience, but each of these things are directly related to banishing the bloat in some way. So all of these things are related. Gut health, so is basically related to almost, directly or indirectly I should say, related to basically every function in the body. Every disease can be traced back to gut dysfunction initially. So it is one of the most important things that we have to take care of. And by taking care of this, we are bringing full life back into our body in so many ways, and not just addressing the weight loss piece as well. So let's dive right into why it's important to banish the bloat, right? So what is this really all about? What is banishing the bloat? Why is it important to you? And how is it going to help you reach the goals that you want to reach? So of course we all want to look and feel good, right? That's natural. It's part of our being. We want to feel good in our skin. We want to look good, right, as well. But banishing the bloat can also be that exact tool that we need to help us accomplish all of our other health goals. And so before I dig deeper into that, basically our health goals. So the word health and even the word goals, I kind of am opposed to, but I'm using them anyway. So health, the reason why I don't really like that word is because I think for a lot of us, we have resistance to that word. We're not really interested in it, and we kind of put blocks up and blinders up because we don't really want to face it, because we think, well, health means, it's heavy, it's clinical, it's sterile, it's boring. It's blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose levels, it's our lab results, it's our risk for disease, right? It's stuff that we don't want to think about. It's not fun. It's not exciting. It's kind of depressing, right? So a lot of us associate health with those words. So health is used a lot just because it's a broad term that you can associate so many things with. And so I just want you to reframe in your mind what health is for you. So for me, what comes up is vibrancy, right? A glow, glowing. You have passion. You're being guided maybe by your intuition more than you have been. You're able to listen to yourself and to trust yourself rather than listen to outside sources and the media. Maybe it's, loving the body that you're in and the life that you've created, the food that you're eating. It's a state of self-trust and ease. So I want you to reframe how you think about health. So health is really this vibrancy, glowing, sparkly, awesome energy, right? That's how I think of it. And so it doesn't have to necessarily be that heavy energy and kind of boring, right? So what does that mean for you? You can create your image or your feeling or the words that you have associated with it. And then also, we're all drawn to the word detox, right? So I'm drawn to that word, and I know all about it, and I can't be fooled, with what it's all about. But I'm attracted to that word. It's a good word, right? It's a word that makes us feel lighter and cleaner, right, and probably more vibrant. But what we don't know is with detoxing that most of the toxins that we are exposed to are produced from within our own body, right, due to poor digestive function. Scary, right? So most of, and our world is toxic. I hate to see that, but it is. With all of the chemicals we use on our foods, the chemicals we use in the environment, everything that's out there, our water even, it's a very toxic environment. But a lot of our toxicity comes from inside our own body, right? So if our digestive function is not working right, which for most of us is not, and we'll get into why in a second, we're polluting our internal environment. And when we're toxic, we hold on to fat. So toxicity, right, damages our internal organs. So fat is a storage unit for that toxicity. So fat, we end up storing more fat to take in the toxicity to keep it away from our internal organs and to keep it from damaging our system. So our fat is actually a protective mechanism. So we can thank our fat, right, for doing that job for us, but we can also release it by improving digestive function, which is also going to help us to rid ourselves of the toxicity. All right? And what a lot of us also don't know is that the digestive system, it directly controls our nervous system and our immune system. About 80% of our immune system is housed within the gut, and a lot of us don't know that. And it also indirectly, it balances our hormones if it's working properly. If not, it imbalances our hormones. It can drain our adrenal glands if it's not working properly, and just make us toxic, right? It can overburden the liver as well. So this all sets us up for a toxic body, a bloated belly, right, and the inability to lose the weight. So this is a big reason why it's not about calories at all. It's not about calories in, calories out, and exercise more. It's actually related to a lot of what's going on internally in our body, and our fat storage and weight gain around our middle and our entire body is just the body's way of showing us that there's something that's a little bit off balance, maybe deeper inside the body, that we need to maybe pay attention to. So poor digestion can occur for many reasons. There's lots of reasons, but I'm going to list a few of the most common ones. The most common one that I would say is stress. Stress is number one, and I don't know about you, but stress is definitely present, right? For all of us. I think none of us can say we're completely stress-free. If you can, that's amazing and that's wonderful. So that's, I think, what we all kind of strive for. But stress, and it can be any form of stress. It can be stressors outside of you in the environment, so toxicity in the environment. It can be just your commute to work, that's a stressor. It can be a job you don't like, a relationship that's not good for you. It can be toxic thoughts, right, that you're thinking. That's a stressor to the body. And then it can be things like the foods that you're putting into your mouth, the water that you're drinking as well. And then it can also be internal, so bad bacteria in the gut and things like that. So those are all stressors to the body. And what stress does to our digestive system is it basically shuts it down. So if we're under stress, our body is in fight or flight mode, so all of the blood and things that are supposed to be used to help us digest our food and metabolize it goes to the periphery to help us flee, right, to get away from our enemy or our predator. But we don't really need to use that anymore, right? So basically, stress diverts digestive functions to other areas of the body. So instead of digesting our food fully, that's not our priority. So our HCl production, so hydrochloric acid, which is produced within the stomach that helps to break down our proteins and helps to sterilize the food that we're eating, that's inhibited when we're under stress, and so is enzyme production that helps to break down the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates that we're eating. So it shuts down our digestive system almost completely, right? Other things that can cause poor digestion are if you're eating the wrong foods for you. You may be thinking that you're eating all the right foods, right, because you're eating healthy, but if it's not exactly what your body needs, that's a stressor to the body. It could be too much sugar or the wrong types of sugar, or too much fat not enough fat or the wrong types of fat. And simple things like that can be stressors to the body and can shut down the digestive system. Hidden food sensitivities, that's a big one. There are a lot of foods that we're eating that we don't know we're sensitive to, and these can be healthy foods like fruits and vegetables as well. And that creates, alters gut function. Parasites even. A lot of us have parasites and don't realize it. Leaky gut, if you have heavy metals in the system, and heavy metals can come from the environment, the water. It can come from just the inability to detoxify like we need to. And it can also come from heavy metal like fillings, so fillings in your teeth, and even vaccinations from when you were a baby. And then poor water quality can also inhibit digestive function because of the chlorine and the fluoride in the water. That can alter bacteria levels in our gut and also deplete HCl production in the stomach as well. And then over-exercising and dieting can also disrupt digestive function. So these are just a few things, a few of the most common things, and we're going to talk about a few of these in more detail. With the Banish Bloat program, it actually talks about each of these things in more depth and detail, but tonight we don't have time to go over all of that, so we're just going to talk about a few of these key ones as we move forward. So the reason why our digestive system is so important is because it's directly and indirectly related, right, to every other function in our body. So if our gut is not healthy, we can't have a healthy liver or balanced hormones or vice versa. And also what's really cool is, I'm not sure if many of you have heard of this before, but it's becoming more common, and we hear a lot more about this. But our gut is known as our second brain, right? And so some researchers and some scientists and some nutritionists refer to it as actually the first or the primary brain, and that's how strong it is, right? So this is because the gut contains more neurons. It contains 100 million neurons that basically communicate with our brain. So it contains more neurons than our spinal cord does. So it's pretty fascinating and pretty amazing, really. It's actually responsible for decision making, for feelings of stress, right? Even with memory and the ability to learn new things. If our gut is toxic, right, from food or from emotions or from our environment, then decision making gets harder. So we can choose the wrong foods to eat, right, because our gut-brain communication is off. Cravings can take over, right, because our gut is communicating poorly with our brain and giving it the wrong signals because our gut is toxic. We're more emotionally unstable, right? So then we'll eat emotionally. So a lot of us blame it on our emotions or our brain, or that we don't have enough willpower or strength, but oftentimes it originates in the gut. And if we clean that out, we won't feel those feelings of emotional instability even anymore. And then we're not going to eat emotionally or overeat or eat due to stress and things like that. The gut, it's directly related to depression, to anxiety, to foggy thinking, even heart disease, which a lot of us don't know. And, of course, autoimmune conditions and inflammatory conditions as well. So it's related to a lot. But once we clear out the gut and kick it back into gear, these signals being sent to the brain are now ones of satisfaction, of normalized appetite. You'll start to want foods that are best for you, right? And then you'll have a positive outlook towards the whole process and towards life, and you'll have a sense of well-being and patience. And then you no longer need to fight with your willpower and things like that. It's a very liberating process that I've been through myself and a lot of my clients that go through this program experience. That it's no longer about willpower and fighting with yourself. It's just something that kind of happens naturally because now the gut is balanced and it's communicating properly with the brain, so you're getting the right healthy signals, and you don't have to fight with the toxic, bad signals, essentially. Okay, so second, we're going to move on to basically the reasons why you can't lose weight, no matter how hard you try or how much you exercise or how little you eat. So there's a lot that goes into this topic, and it's one of my favorite ones. But we're just going to touch on a few of the key points here that I think will be really good for you to take with you. So one, if your digestive system is already under stress, which most of them are, right, just because of the lifestyle and the environment we live in these days, then adding strenuous exercise into the mix is just one more stressor that the body and your gut cannot handle, unfortunately. So this, in and of itself, can increase cortisol. So cortisol is kind of a fat-storing hormone, right? It's a stress response hormone and causes the body to hold on to fat, especially around the middle. Or it can deplete the adrenal glands, which produce cortisol altogether, which creates a lot of inflammation in the gut and in the body. And then where there's inflammation, there's fat storage and weight gain as well, especially around the middle of our body and the belly. So not to mention that this stress to the body from over-exercising or just not exercising in the right way adds further stress to the gut, and then which will further imbalance the hormones and all of that. It's basically like an evil cycle, right? And one affects the other, and this all in turn affects our ability to lose or gain weight. So decreasing food, right? Restricting calories. So this is something that it's been ingrained in our brains for so long that it's really hard to get rid of until you experience what it's like to not have to count calories. So I could not tell you how many calories I eat every day. I have no clue, no idea. But I definitely counted calories for a good probably 8 or 9 years, I'm sure. But I haven't counted a calorie for probably the past 3 to 4 years, and I don't have my clients do it either. And because restricting our food intake is a very temporary approach that may or may not work. So it may work, but it's going to work temporarily, and then we're going to fall back into our old patterns, and we're going to regain the weight and probably gain a bit more. So it's a very temporary approach. And it's a very extreme stressor to the body, right? So we can't balance our blood sugar levels properly when we're not getting the food that we need and we're depriving ourselves, right? And then this will stress our adrenal glands, which is our stress, basically glands. It produces our stress hormones. And then it stimulates it to produce cortisol to regulate our blood sugar levels. because we're basically in starvation mode. And this causes the body to hold on to fat and to hold on to everything that you're giving it. And it also inhibits thyroid function. So thyroid function is your main kind of your master metabolic hormone, right? And so it shuts this down. The less you eat, the more inhibited thyroid function becomes, and that means the less active your metabolism is, right? So we're shutting down our metabolism, our digestive fire. We're increasing stress hormones every time we deprive ourselves and restrict ourselves. You know, we think we're being good by monitoring calories when actually we can be causing some damage to the body long term, right? So it's not about the calories like we've been taught, thank goodness, right? That's a good thing. So the mix of these, counting calories and exercising too much, it's really the mix of these that causes problems, right? So it's the perfect situation to increase inflammation in the body and in the gut, create leaky gut, which leads to food sensitivities and immune issues and toxicity. It increases bad bacteria in the gut. It imbalances hormones. It drives cravings, right? It creates nutrient deficiencies, so that's going to increase cravings as well, not to mention damage the body in other ways. And it makes it impossible to regulate your appetite, right? So those things, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg, right, when it comes to why you can't lose weight through diet and exercise. Those are just a few of the main things that really that's all you really need to understand at this point and to know, right, just to take that with you, is that, it's really not all about exercise and diet. Especially, if you feel like you've been doing that for so long and haven't been seeing results. This is a good kind of sigh of relief for all of you. So from this, we're going to jump right into basically the three main power components that you need to really banish the bloat for good, right? To really stick with this and to move forward and to see results. So there are three components here, and in the program and in the ebook, it talks about each of these things in a lot more detail. And so tonight we're just going to touch on one key point from each of these three components. So there's lots more points with each of these components that gone over in the program, but tonight we're just going to hit on one key point for each and then give you action steps to take away from the call tonight that you can implement immediately. So, all right. So these three components are, they may not be what you think they're going to be, but the first one is changing your mind, right? And then you have to change your life. That's the second one. And the third one is changing your body, right? So it sounds kind of simple and vague and a little bit cliche maybe, right? But we're going to dive into, and I'll explain to you why, not only why each of these components are important, but why this order of these components is important, right? So basically, we can't change our body without first changing our minds and our life, period, end of story. You just can't. You can try, but oftentimes that's when we sabotage ourselves, we fall off the wagon, we can't get back on it, things like that, right? When we seek to change our mind first, so we look into our mind basically to uncover limiting beliefs, right? Our excuses, our subconscious blocks, things that pop up that are going to get in our way eventually, and cause us to come back to our comfort zone, essentially. So you cannot change your body if you haven't changed your mind first and fully committed to the process. And why this is so important that we change our minds first is that we're ready and we're prepared. It's not that you have to eliminate, these subconscious beliefs or things like that, immediately before you can do any work. It's just that you're ready for them, so that when these beliefs or blocks or behaviors pop up, you're ready for it and you are expecting it, and you can recognize where that's coming from, and you're not going to let it derail you. You're not going to let it throw you off course. And then when we seek to change our life, so our life just means our habits, our routines, the choices you make, right, the knowledge that you have about your body, listening to your intuition, knowing what it means, knowing what your body's saying, and then your environment. So who you're surrounded by, what you're surrounded by, that's all encompassing of changing your life, basically what we're eating, how we're eating it. When you address all of these things together, the mind, and then you're ready to change your life, to change your habits, to change these things in your environment, then your body and your goals will fall into place naturally, right, without struggling, without deprivation, or without feelings of failure or frustration, right? So if we really focus on getting your mind in the right place so that you can make the right lifestyle changes and feel good about it, then your body knows what to do. And then we don't have to have the focus on our body, right? If we just focus on the body and that's it, and why aren't we losing weight, and why, are we gaining weight around our middle, and why isn't it doing what we want it to do, then we're just going to keep having that struggle with the body, right? So we need to let that go, release that from our mindset, and just focus on things that may be sabotaging you or keeping you stuck and why they're there, and how you can change those to enable you to make better results. So we're going to get into all of those in more detail as well. But an example to why we're talking about this and why the mind is so important and why this has to be one of the first key components. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this story, but it's been in the media a lot. But there was a 600-pound man, right? And he lost, I don't know exactly how many pounds, but probably 400 pounds or so, around there, give or take. And he looked fabulous, right? So he did this publicly, I think, on television, and he lost the weight. So he did all the work. He focused on the body and changing that. But sadly, he gained all of that weight back, right? And so they've done interviews with him since then. And he has said, his mind was not right. He didn't see himself as this skinny, healthy person. He didn't see himself as a strong, fit person. He had a lot of addictive behaviors, that came out, self-sabotage. And those were things that he never addressed. So when he reached his goals, he didn't know what to do with it, and he didn't believe it. And so he sabotaged himself, take him back to his comfort zone where he thought that he should be, right? So that's why changing the mind is so important, because it keeps you moving forward permanently. You're not going to keep sliding backwards. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit more. The mind is a very powerful player, right, in the bloat vanishing journey, as we've just discussed, right? We have to be in the right space mentally before we can successfully make changes and have permanent results, right? So you have to first know and believe with all of your heart that you are possible. What you want is possible, right? And that you're worth it. Because a lot of times we have feelings that we're just not worthy of it. Why should we put our needs before anyone else's, right? Why do we think we deserve to have this? Whatever it may be for you. We all have different blocks that come up. But I'm going to read to you a quote. It's one of my favorite quotes that those that have gone through the Banish the Bloat program have already heard this. But it's worth hearing over and over and over again, and it's probably worth posting somewhere where you can see it every day. But the quote goes like this. It's, whatever you hold in your mind will tend to occur in your life. If you continue to believe as you have always believed, you'll continue to act as you have always acted. If you continue to act as you've always acted, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. So if you want different results in your life or work, all you have to do is change your mind, right? I love that one. It's kind of liberating, isn't it? We just have to change our mind, right? And we have to change what we believe, basically, and then you'll change your actions, right? And then you will get different results. So, sometimes that's easier said than done, right? It sounds pretty simple, sounds easy, but, a lot of times the positive thinking, the affirmations, they're just not enough for some of us, right? So we can say positive affirmations every day, but it just doesn't seem to get through to us, right? And this could be because we have stuck energetic patterns in our body. We have subconscious beliefs that every time you say that positive affirmation, your subconscious belief is contradicting it, saying, no, you're not, or no, it's not possible, or whatever it may be. And so these subconscious beliefs can be recreating patterns that you're trying to get out of, right? And if your physiology is off, so your internal environment, if that is off, your thinking and your thoughts and your actions will also be off. So that's what we really address in this program, is getting your physiology right so you can get your mind right. And that's going to clear a lot of stuck blocks. A lot of blocks are stuck there because of poor health or imbalances in the body, right? Okay, so in the program, in the book, we dig a bit deeper into where you might be getting stuck in this part of the journey. We don't have time to do that tonight, but it's always there if you feel like you need it. Okay, so the first action steps I'm going to give you guys to take away from this, and you can write this down. I recommend you write it down. I want you to write down 3 reasons or excuses that you have right now as to why you can't have the toned tummy, or whatever your want is, whatever want that we identified at the beginning of the call. what are 3 reasons or excuses that you feel like you can't, that you hold as to why you can't have that? So when you think of the want that you have, what resistance pops up? What thought pops into your head as to why that's not possible or why it will never work? Is it you don't have enough time, you're too busy, you don't have enough money, you don't have the right tools, you don't have, whatever it may be, right? Maybe your friends won't accept it or your significant other won't accept it. I want you to list those things out. They can be anything that pops up for you. So don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Whatever it may be, even if it seems really crazy, write it down, right? Because it came from somewhere. So I really want you to think about this. If nothing comes up for you right now, then sit with it for a few days and let things kind of evolve naturally, right? These thoughts, these are, like I said earlier, this is our inner mean girl, right, that comes out. It's the one that tries to sabotage our success and keep us right where we are now or have been in the past because it's familiar and it's comfortable, right? So now that you have these excuses, I want you to ask yourself, are these excuses true? Are they true? And keep asking yourself that. If you say, yes, it's true because, now go back and ask yourself, is that true? And keep doing that until you uncover where it's really coming from or that it's maybe not true for you. So maybe it was true for you in the past, right? It's something you can let go of now, but you just haven't been able to let go of it because you've taken it on as something that's true for you. You've ingrained it within you. Maybe it's a belief that came from someone else, from your mother, from your sister, from people outside of you that had just been maybe toxic and fed you negativity that came from their own insecurities, right? So maybe it's someone else's excuse that you're holding on to as your own. I want you to think about that. And so think about, where are these excuses coming from, right? Why are they there, and are they really true? And can you let go of them? And I want you to think of who would you be without those excuses, right? Whenever I think about that, we all have excuses. All have them. I have tons of excuses for certain things in my life. But when I think about who I would be without them, oh my goodness, the whole world just seems so much brighter, and you seem so much lighter and more open and expansive, and that anything's possible, right? So I want you to think about your excuses. Don't be afraid of them, but look at them and look at who you would be without them. Who would you be? What would that allow you to create? What would happen if you chose to let go of those beliefs, those excuses, those fears, right? Then think about, is there any way, are you holding on to them for comfort? That seems weird and crazy. Well, why would I keep an excuse if it's hurting me? How could it be serving me? But you'd be surprised. We don't hold on to anything unless it serves us in some way, even if it's a really backwards way, right? So it could be serving you from stepping out of your comfort zone, from putting extra effort in, from being someone that maybe you're scared of because you've never seen that person before, or you're scared of who you could be, or you're scared of turning other people away and distancing yourself from friends or family. So those excuses, they're always there for a reason. You just have to uncover why. And it sounds crazy and silly, but there's always a reason as to why they're there, right, and how they may be serving you in some way. So with those, when you're doing this on your own time, I want you to then flip around those excuses and those negative thoughts and scratch them completely, right, and rewrite them in a positive tone, in a positive way, or just write something in its place that's going to empower you every time you hear it rather than strip away your power, right? So you want something to build you up, not break you down. So I want you to use I am instead of I wish I were like this, or someday I'm going to be like this, or this is how I want to be. You want to use I am. And there may be resistance to that, just notice, and maybe try using phrases that seem more comfortable to you in the beginning, like I am this. I am a healthy, vibrant person. I am strong. I am fit. I have plenty of time to put myself first. Whatever it may be, use that phrase instead, right? Find those qualities that make you uniquely you, right, that you're good at, that make you beautiful, and embrace them, right? So embrace what qualities you have that empower you, and that's where you want to focus on. So now that we know kind of what we want, right, and where we're going, and what might potentially get in our way, and this is, again, why I say this is so important, because if we know what's going to get in our way, then we can begin to address these things and not let them derail us as we try to move forward, right? So So now, basically, I'm going to read to you a quote where we don't talk too much in this call about exact foods, but I want you to understand that this quote says, many people can eat all the right food and still have digestive problems. And the best diet in the world won't help when you aren't digesting properly. And so actually the next action step after we get to the second one is going to address this as well. Well, the second one will as well. Basically, in the book and in the program, we dive extensively into the belly bloating offenders, bloat banishing rock stars, the tummy toning foods, the best ones. But tonight, I'm going to give you basically one simple step below that can make a profound difference in how you feel, how you basically look at the world, right? It can relieve abdominal discomfort and bloating. It can even help you change what you choose to eat and how much you choose to eat. So this second action step, and you want to write this down too, is to slow down. Right? It sounds simple and kind of too simple to be true and to do any real good, but I'm telling you, this can do more good than changing what you eat. When you eat in a rush, you stop the digestive process altogether, and you're not absorbing nutrition from the foods that you're eating, which means that you're going to be craving more food, and your appetite's going to be out of control because you're not getting what your body thinks that it needs, right? It's missing something. And also, when we eat too fast or eat under stress, we're creating too much bad bacteria. We're creating toxicity because we're not fully digesting the food either. So we have undigested food, which is toxic for the body as well. And, of course, it causes abdominal bloating and discomfort. So just by slowing down. So we'll taste our food better and different, so we'll be satisfied a lot quicker. So there's one of my mentors told a story how he was working with a client that ate McDonald's and pizza basically every day. And he didn't really want to change what he ate. But he had horrible digestive problems, of course, right, and abdominal pain and all of this stuff. And so he would go through the McDonald's drive-thru every day during lunch and get a Big Mac. So what my mentor told him to do, rather than changing what he was eating, he told him to pull over after he got his food, sit in his car and eat slowly, think about what he was eating, relax while he was eating, and then he'd go about his day, right? So that's the only thing he changed. And when he checked in with that client a few weeks later, the client was like, you wouldn't believe it. Like, my digestive discomfort is gone. I don't have any pain anymore. And I've lost weight. You know, he's like, well, great. Like, what happened? He's like, well, I started eating salads for lunch. And, my mentor was like, well, what inspired that change? And basically what this guy realized is that when eating a Big Mac, when he actually slowed down and wasn't eating in a rush, he didn't even like Big Macs. He's like, I realized how much I dislike Big Macs and McDonald's. And he had no desire to eat them ever again. And that's a conscious choice, right? So it's no longer about fighting with willpower and making the choice not to go there. That's naturally, he doesn't even want that because he doesn't like it, right? So slowing down can even affect the food choices that you make. So your second action step is to chew each bite 20 to 30 times. And I want you to place your utensils down in between each bite. It's really, really, really hard to do for me. For some people it's not, but for me it is. But it makes a huge difference. You'll probably eat half as much because you'll get full a lot faster. Your body's more satisfied, right? And the signal from the gut to the brain will have time to tell you that you're full and you don't need any more. Right, and you'll enjoy the taste a lot better as well. And of course, you'll get rid of digestive discomfort and bloating as well. So something as simple as that is slowing down. So that's a huge one. And then number 3 is the change your body part, right? So we talked about changing your mind and changing your life and your lifestyle. And now we're talking about changing your body. So this is kind of the easy part, right? Which most of us usually think of as the hard part. But once you've addressed the mindset and the lifestyle, your body will change on its own effortlessly. That's what it wants to do. It always wants to seek a place of health and balance and vibrancy. So the body is super, super, super intelligent, right? And it knows exactly what to do when we give it the right tools. So the key is we have to give it the right information and the right tools, and then it knows what to do. So sometimes we simply need to remove the things that are keeping us stuck and add in maybe a few things that help to propel us forward. So for this step, we need to recognize, number one, that we're not separate from our body. A lot of us think our brains and our bodies are separate, when that's not true at all, as we've been talking. Our body is intimately tied to everything we do, everything we feel, everything we think, and everything we say, right? It's a direct product of what's going on internally inside of us, essentially. So each unwanted symptom is the body's way of communicating a deeper imbalance to us. So each symptom that we try to mask or cover up by dieting, by supplementation, by working out harder, right, it's going to drive the problem deeper or create new symptoms, as well as create bloating, abdominal discomfort and all of those things. So bloating and abdominal discomfort and foggy thinking and low energy and depression and anxiety, those are things that are not just products of, they're not just who we are, right? So a lot of things, well, that's just how it's always been. That's just who I am. This is just part of me, right? It's not just who you are, even if that's what you think and how you've always been, right? It's the body's way of telling you that something else is going on. It wants a bit of attention, right? So it needs something to change in your life. So it's our job, basically, to listen and uncover these signals, listen to your body, learn its language, basically, and get to the root of the issue. So just like when weight loss doesn't happen naturally with a healthy diet or reasonable exercise, it's not a sign that something's just wrong with you or that you're not doing it properly or that you need to work at it harder or that you're always doomed to failure. It's not a sign, that you're doing something wrong or something's wrong with you. It is a sign that perhaps there's a food sensitivity, right, that you haven't uncovered, or maybe there's too much bad bacteria in the gut, maybe even a parasite, or maybe it's a toxic job or a toxic relationship or person that needs to be addressed, right? There's always a reason for the signals that our body gives us, and it's our job to listen to that, not ignore it, right? So that's one thing you have to realize is there's always a reason for whatever it is that exists, right? You're not just bloated just because you're bloated and because your body wants to be that way, right? It's for a reason. So just like with depression and anxiety, that's not just who you are, right? You're not just a depressed person or an anxious person. It's a sign that something's a bit off and needs to be addressed, right? So when we address these issues, our weight issues will also disappear. If you lose weight properly, right, and you're also healing the body, essentially. So they go hand in hand. And when you heal the body, you're also allowing the body to lose weight naturally. So they go hand in hand, right? So if we push our body to try to get it to lose weight by extreme dieting and exercise, and that's not what it needs or wants, it's going to cry back louder and it's going to push back harder to get you to listen to it, right? By holding on to weight, by igniting intense cravings, by increasing your appetite, by interrupting your sleep or disturbing your moods, all of those ways. So what we need to do is to stop fighting with our body, because dieting is fighting the body, right? It is. If you think about it, it's like a struggle, and it's a fight with our body. And we need to start working with it, right? Fighting with it just creates more resistance and more weight gain or the inability to lose weight. So it's fighting a losing battle, basically, and you're making it a lot harder on yourself. So your third action step, let me pull it up here, is basically, I just lost my place. Hold on. Okay, so your third action step basically involves ditching the diet mindset, right? So by beginning to listen to what the body is telling you. So I actually wrote a little mini ebook on this exact topic about how to ditch the diet mindset and stop counting calories for good so that you can actually receive the results you want to achieve. But in this step, I want you to ditch the diet mindset by beginning to listen to what the body is telling you. So let go of counting calories, because even just the stress of counting calories, so just the mental stress of that is enough stress to add to your body that's going to cause dysfunction, right, and cause us to hold on to weight. It's going to create stress hormone production in the body. So I want you to release that and begin to listen, rather, to what the body is telling you. We've been taught to not listen to our body, right? So we've been taught that if we're hungry, to ignore it, right? To not eat because we need to monitor our calories, and if we eat less, that's better. So we need to now learn how to reignite that conversation with our body. Our body's intuition will actually get louder and louder and more clear the healthier and more vibrant and more cleansed that we become, right? So that actually, if that's something you feel like you're lacking at this point, that's something that can be ignited easily when you cleanse the body and you become healthier and kind of give the body what it needs. Your intuition your body's intuition just ignites, right? So for this third action step, I want you to experiment what you have and with what you have for breakfast each morning. So starting tomorrow, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for the next 3 days, basically, experiment with what you have for breakfast. And I want you to be really mindful and to notice and to record how you're feeling after each meal that you have for those breakfasts. So, for example, if you have an egg and 2 slices of bacon on day 1, so that's mostly a protein and fat-based breakfast, right? I want you to monitor how you feel for the next couple hours. Do you have sustained energy? How is your appetite? Does your energy tank? When do you get hungry again? Do you experience cravings? Think about anything that pops up for you, right? Maybe even it's a mental or emotional thing. Maybe you get agitated or irritated or impatient or stressed. And then I want you to do it again on day 2, but change what you eat. So perhaps you have a meal that's quinoa, coconut milk, and berries. So something that has a bit more carbohydrate but still has protein and fat. And I want you to, again, record how you feel. And then maybe for day 3, you do just like a green juice or a smoothie. So something that's more carbohydrate-based, right, and not too much fat or protein. And record how you feel. And this will start the conversation with your body. So you just want to start that dialogue back and forth. So that's action step number 3. So I could go on and on forever about these things, and we're just scratching the surface, really. But these are 3 action steps that can help you see and feel huge improvements. And you'll notice they're not directly related to food, or what you are eating, I should say. So it's a lot of what we don't expect to hear, but these are some of the most empowering things you can do. Little things like this can make big differences. So these 3 key pieces basically are essential and necessary to get you going and to keep you moving in the right direction so that you don't fall back into your old behaviors, right? So a little bit simpler in some ways than maybe we might have thought, right? We've been taught to fight our bodies and to work harder and to, muster up all the willpower that we can possibly find. But I'm giving you permission tonight to tone it down, right, to be forgiving and to relax a bit more and to introduce pleasure back into the weight loss and bloat banishing game, right? That sounds good, because when we think of dieting, we don't think of pleasure, do we? Well, we can have both, and we need to have both. We can't really see the results we want to see in our body if we're fighting with it and if we're not allowing it to be a pleasurable experience, right? When we're stressed, we shut down our metabolism, we shut down our digestion, and we increase fat storage. When we're relaxed, we actually stimulate our metabolism and our digestion, and we rev up our fat-burning engines. So it's the exact opposite of what we think, right? The more relaxed we are, the more likely we are to release unwanted weight, right? So that's a relief. Love to hear that, right? So to recap, we're right here on the hour mark. So I'm going to recap just briefly, and then we'll wrap up. So I want to thank you for all speaking on me. I love the energy of group calls. It's one of my favorite things, and I know it's been one of the favorite things of the ladies who have done the Banish with Bloat group programs is they love the energy of a group. And just even though we're all in different states and spread all over, just the energy is so nourishing and supportive that alone can catapult you into success that you wouldn't have on your own. So just having all your energy here, I love it. It ignites me and makes me really excited. And I think it's all, as women, we kind of need to stick together and build each other up and empower each other, right? And so this is awesome that you're all here tonight with one another. So to recap everything, you must change your mind, right? So we want to uncover our damaging beliefs, our excuses, things that might be getting in our way that maybe we haven't really uncovered before or realized they're getting in our way, or maybe we thought that we could just push through them, right? So we need to address the mindset. And then we need to address our life. So look at your habits, look at your lifestyle, look at your environment, the people you're around, all of those things. And then we need to change the body. And that's not something we necessarily even have to work at. That's something that will come naturally. So we need to connect with our body, get reacquainted with it, and listen to our gut intuition, our healthy intuition, right? And then our 3 action steps that you have to take away with you tonight is you want to identify 3 bloat banishing excuses that you keep with you and how you can turn those around, right? So identify how they might be keeping you stuck, what purpose they might be serving, and how you can let that go, right? And who might you be without those excuses, right? So think about that, and that's a really empowering one. and can be more empowering than changing your diet, right off the bat. So that's a really important one to dig with. The second one is to slow down. Slow down. It can be really hard, but you really want to focus and sit when you eat. Sit, sit, sit. No eating while you're standing up or driving. And you want to chew 20 to 30 times, every bite, as much as you can, or at least until it's mostly digested in your mouth, basically liquefied. And put your utensils down in between your bites. And notice, I can guarantee you will eat less, probably half of what you would normally eat if you do this. And you won't feel bloated. And then the third one is to ditch the diet mindset. Just let it go and trust your body's intuition. So you want to experiment with 3 to 4 days worth of breakfast meals to see what your body prefers, right? So we don't always have to eat whatever every latest diet is telling us to eat. Rather, we need to listen to what our body tells us we need to eat so that we see the results that we want to see and so that we feel the best, right? Okay, so that's what I'm giving you to take away from this call, and I hope to have more calls in the future. So if you have any questions, usually I like to take questions on these calls, but we're running out of time. So the next call we do, I'll make sure to save room for questions. But if you do have a question, make sure to send me it to sarah@bodybrilliancecoaching.com, or through Facebook you can message me, and I can answer it. And so I can answer your question through Facebook, or I can address it in a newsletter post, or in an upcoming call that we do. So if you do have questions, send those my way. And of course, as I'm sure some of you probably are curious about the Banish the Bloat program, I know I get lots of questions and inquiries about that one. It is a 21-day program, right, designed around exactly what we talked tonight, and we go into a lot more detail with each of these things. And it's a 100-page ebook that you get as well as 21 days worth of meal plans and recipes, an action guide, and a community, right? So just the community of women is a big thing on its own. So all of that stuff. And as a gift for all of you, I love to give gifts as a thank you because I really do appreciate you putting yourself first. It's a big, big step. So as a thank you for spending time with me, I'm offering those of you that are on the call tonight or that are receiving the recording, you get 50% off the program, which is huge, through Friday. So that's through tomorrow night, midnight. So you have through tomorrow to sign up for the Banish the Bloat program and get 50% off. So I'll send out an email with a link to register immediately after this call so you don't miss out, and it'll answer other questions about the program and what it's all about as well. So it'll have more details there. And for those of you who have already gone through the Banish the Bloat program, because it is its year anniversary, so it's been around for a year and it's been fabulous. So for the many women, I think about 60 plus that have gone through it, I'm rolling out a seasonal Banish the Bloat program for those who have already gone through it. So that'll be basically a quarterly program that's seasonal recipes, because I know from past clients, you guys want more recipes and want more meal plans, and you miss the group support. And so to be able to give that back to you is really exciting for me, so listening to your feedback. And so that will be coming up very soon as well. So be looking for that and send me any questions you might have about that as well. So make sure to check your inbox for the announcements, basically for further details on what I announced tonight, and as well as your 3 bloat banishing recipes and the recording of this call. You'll be getting those as soon as this call is basically ready to be uploaded by all of you. So I just want to send you all a very, very big thank you and a very big hug. And thank you again for spending your Thursday evening with me. I wish you all a very, very beautiful rest of your week and weekend. And I just want to leave you with these 3 words to send you on your way. These 3 words are trust, love, and forward movement. So it's actually kind of 4 words, but so trust, right? We want to trust the process and trust our body. We have to trust that the universe is giving us everything that we can handle and that our body knows what to do if we give it the right thing. So trust it. And then love yourself, right? You've got to love your body. And you have to appreciate what it does for you. It's pretty amazing when we step back and think about what our body does. So have love for yourself and love for others and appreciation for the world around you, right? When we bring that love into ourselves and into our body, everything else in our lives becomes so much brighter and so much easier. And the process of banishing the bloat becomes so much easier too, right? And then, of course, forward movement. So keep taking steps forward each and every day, no matter how small those steps are or how painfully slow it feels. And even if you take 10,000 steps backwards that day, still take half a step forward. That's key. Don't worry if you slip up or go backwards. That's part of life, right? So keep taking steps forward each and every day. Have that forward movement. So try to find that joy, that pleasure, that gratefulness, and appreciation in this process. So trust, love, and forward movement. And I'll leave you all with that. Send me any questions you have to Sarah@bodybrilliancecoaching.com, or send me messages through Facebook, and I'll be sending you all of the information that we covered tonight. So you'll get all of the recording and 3 new recipes and information if you want to sign up for any of the programs at 50% off. So I recommend taking advantage of that. If you're thinking about it, now's the time, because 50% off doesn't happen too often and hasn't happened in the past year. So take advantage of that, and I just want to send you all, again, a big thank you, a big hug, and you all are free to go. So I might just unmute everyone, and everyone can say goodbye just for that good energy. So I'm going to unmute you, and then, all right, so everyone give a big goodbye to everyone, and have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sarah. Bye.
Good evening. Thank you, Sarah.